Bree Clarke is the founder and creative director of the Iman Project and Lavender and Mint Designs. She has combined her passion for design as well as purpose of fostering community and diversity by creating magical moments such as on-the-table workshops with a purpose, Mama Mode, events celebrating modern motherhood, and the Giving Table Project. In all the work she does, Bree seeks to empower others and bring people together, no matter their background, style, age, religion, or opinion. You can find out more about Bree at theimanproject.com or by going to her Instagram, The Iman Project and Lavender Mint Designs. WomenEmpowermentProject.com is another great website where you can find out more about what she's doing to empower women in the community. So we're here with Bree Clarke to chat a little bit about her mission and purpose and yesterday's TEDx Talk at CUNY. Bree, thank you for being here today.
Thank you for having me. I really appreciate it.
So let's start by talking about yesterday's TED Talk and your journey to get there. You and I had several conversations leading up to it, and it was a super exciting experience. How do you feel after accomplishing that yesterday?
A little relief.
Yeah, yeah.
Because, I mean, it was a lot put into it. I mean, we see TED Talks all the time online.
Mm-hmm.
We see the TEDx, and we never see kind of behind the scenes.
Right.
So actually being behind the scene and being part of it in that capacity, I mean, it was overwhelming, but at the same time, a huge accomplishment that I felt for myself. So
I think it's a huge milestone in anyone's
definitely.
life to be acknowledged and seen as a change maker. And yesterday's topic or yesterday's theme was Wildcard.
Yeah.
So we were talking about people who have maybe not taken the most traditional route to success, but nevertheless have created a wonderful, wonderful life for themselves, which is really exciting. It was so inspiring to see that.
Yeah. I always kind of say that I'm like a walking second chance.
Love that.
When the theme wild card, I'm like, I'm truly a wild card. It's not a straight path. It's not something that just like, oh, okay, let's do this or whatnot. I mean, it was a true journey that like was kind of like everything piled up in one.
Yeah.
So.
And I think that it's so important that we acknowledge the wild card experience, because when we only show back to diversity, when we only show that one path to success, that leaves so many people out.
It does.
And we need to tell these stories. We need to acknowledge the wild cards so that all of us other wild cards can be like, hey, I can do that too.
Exactly, yes.
And I liked what you said in your talk when you were talking about how people didn't know necessarily, and even now when they meet you, they don't know what you've been through. They don't know your entire story. And there can be wild cards among us and people who are going through things and we have no idea.
We never know anyone's home situation. We don't know what happens behind closed doors. And sometimes I think as people are in society today that we kind of have a preconceived idea of what a person is or how a person is, but not really know. And I think that's something that, I mean, I have challenges with. A lot of people have challenges with. We kind of think that it's one way with the individual, but we wouldn't think that person is going through that.
Right.
And like I said yesterday, people would have never thought that I was homeless.
Right.
I mean, I was working. I would go out still. I mean, I would go out to dinner, but you didn't know where I went when I went out to dinner, after dinner, or when I got off work. So it's like I said, I wasn't the picture of someone that didn't have a home.
Right. Yeah. And I think that it was really great how you talked about how those experiences, not having a home, not having a table, your theme for your talk was a seat at the table.
Yes.
And you talked about how not having a table, how not having these things in your life actually informed and helped you to create this business that gave you the success you have today. Yeah. So it was not even really in spite of your struggle, it was almost because of your struggle that you were given this inspiration. So tell me about that process of finding the inspiration in those dark times.
I mean, like I said, from my own personal experience, I know that having an air mattress, enjoying sitting on an air mattress on the floor, having a meal isn't fun, nor is it fair. Right. So, I mean, I'm a strong believer that in order to see a change, that you have to be the change. And I knew that it's a lot of times you can talk about what you want to do, talk about what needs to be done, but if there's no action behind that, then it's all talk and it means nothing. So
what would you say to somebody who is in a situation like that right now and isn't taking action, but they want to do better? What could you tell them? What's something that maybe you would want to tell yourself when you were in that situation?
You're the only person that can do what you need to do. I'm a huge believer that nobody else is going to put you on. You have to put yourself on. You have to be a fighter. You have to inspire yourself. You have to motivate yourself. You can't look to other people to inspire or motivate you. It's almost a willpower that you have to build up within yourself. And it's something that doesn't happen overnight. I mean, when my husband and I got together, it's like in 2009. I mean, we're in 2018, and you say like the success, and I don't even think that we're successful now. I think a success is never owned, it's rented, and rent is due every day. I mean, I still have struggles to this day. I struggle in other ways that people wouldn't think that you don't. So you only see face value, you only see, whatnot. So I just really want to tell people, don't think that everything happens overnight. And it doesn't just happen on its own. It's a lot of yourself. It's a lot of your mindset and just how you view things in general. But you can't give up. You have to be persistent, consistent, and just keep going.
I like that. Persistent and consistent.
Yeah.
And be a fighter.
Yeah. Total fighter. Total fighter all the way. So.
I love it. So the theme of your talk was a seat at the table.
Yes.
Will you share with us what that means to you?
It means that no matter who you are, where you are in life, what you've been through, what your background is, what your religion, your opinion, that you have a place to go to, that you have a seat at the table. I mean, I think so many times human nature is you kind of want to help people out. You want to do good for others.
Right.
But sometimes things that happen in your family, things that happen in society, things that we see on media, things that we see going around, we kind of hold ourselves back from doing good. And I just wanted to create a platform that allowed a seat at the table in my business, in my personal life, in my mindset, and everything. So it's just truly a space for everyone to come. And it's not necessarily a table. I mean, well, workshops are a table, yes. But it's just a actual place where anybody and everyone is welcome.
That's wonderful. So you were able to build that community aspect into your business, into your way of making revenue for yourself, so you could kind of be helping yourself while helping others.
Correct, yes.
That's wonderful. Yeah. So tell me about how you went from starting your business of building tables to being like, hey, you know what? Let's do a workshop. Let's start incorporating that. How did that grow?
Well, I ended up getting a corporate job at iPick, and that was like, my husband had always worked. He actually had, he was working for a temp agency, and then he ended up got called on full time. And then I got my first big girl job, and actually a job where I wasn't being a hostess and making $8 an hour, which nothing wrong with that because it's a job. So I had 3 or 4 of those. So, and we ended up moving out to McKinney. And we just literally, even then, we didn't really have that much. I mean, we were able to get the home, we had our sons, but we weren't able to like fill it up and stuff like that. And I wanted to get a dining table because it's like at that time we had the boys, and I really wanted to connect. I just thought that, okay, the kitchen, I need a table. I want to share a meal, share a memory, share our moments. And we got the farmhouse table, found it online, and I couldn't financially afford like a super fancy table. And the one that I wanted was like on Restoration Hardware, and it was like $3,000. I'm like, okay, that's impossible. Like, stop dreaming. And my dad was actually sick during that time, and he had just had kidney failure, and he was helping us out and coming back and forth, and he taught us how to build a table.
Wow.
So he taught us how to build a farmhouse table so that I wouldn't have to go out. Well, didn't have the option, but so we could have that farmhouse table.
Nice.
To trendy, something that I truly didn't want. And we built it, and the first week that we built it, I had over 20 friends say that they wanted the table.
Oh my gosh.
I dressed it up, fixed it up, did all the tablescaping, and then one of my girlfriends like, you know what, you should sell these tables. Like, it's a beautiful concept, a beautiful table.
Yeah.
So we started doing that.
So then where did you start making the tables?
In my garage.
Nice. I love it.
My dad brought down all his tools because
Cool.
he was sick at the time and didn't really use them. And he had a drill that I remember I used to see him use when I was a little girl. And it was the same drill. It was like a Black & Decker. It had like a cord. It's so old school. And so he brought that, his miter saw, he brought all the tools.
Wow.
Yep.
So you just started working with your hands and building
started
them.
with the hands, and he showed Carlos and showed me, and then, I mean, we did everything in the garage. Where, I mean, like, neighbors were complaining. Like,
You're like 24/7.
Yeah. I was like, it's just like a home
and-
improvement thing. It's just for our house.
We're
you know?
renovating.
Yeah.
It's going to be a while.
So, yeah, we did everything. And, it was cold, it was hot, but we did every single thing in that garage.
And then you started selling them?
Started selling them on Facebook, on garage sales.
Nice.
I was known as the table lady. People would like message me and like, oh, you know, I want a table. Someone told you you're the table lady and the farmhouse table. And I was selling a farmhouse table for $250 for $300. Came with a bench. I used to think like, oh, so many tables would just come with the table. I'm like, why does it come with any seating?
Yeah.
Seating's so expensive. So I'm like, what are we supposed to stand around the table?
Right, yeah.
Like, so I made sure to like include things that I personally knew that I needed and wanted. So, and then we sold them on Craigslist. And then I had some random person send me a message and she's like, hey, your table is in D Magazine. And I was like,
oh my gosh.
What? And they didn't know who made the table. So she like sent me the shot of the thing and she's like, I don't know who this made the table, but it's the top 5 weirdest and coolest things to find on Facebook garage sales.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. So I called D Magazine, spoke to Bree Clarke, and said like I was the one that did the table. And at that time I was putting this fur rug on the bench, so it would be like add a little cushion to it.
Oh, I've seen the photos. It's really cute.
Yeah, she thought that was
So
just like
chic.
the coolest
It
thing.
is. It
And it's like, I don't know why I didn't think of that or why people
It's so
didn't think-
different, yeah.
And so then she updated it and put it on the site and put in the magazine that Bree Clarke is the one that made her and her husband.
Nice. And did that start to boost
It
business
did.
and
It did. A lot of
recognition
people,
and branding?
a lot of people started seeing it and stuff. And then I was still selling them on Facebook, and I sold on Facebook from like 2015 for a whole year. And I mean, I just recently stopped selling them on Facebook.
Okay.
I finally got a website.
Okay, nice. There we go.
Like 2 or 3 years. Yeah,
Well, I mean, if you were selling it without
Yeah.
it, you know, sometimes you don't
yeah,
necessarily
we were
need to do that
selling
yet.
so many, about 15 to 20 tables a week.
Oh my
And we were
gosh.
building them all in our garage.
And you built them all yourself?
My husband and I.
Oh.
Yeah. And then my dad,
My
at the time, he
gosh.
would come down every Friday and leave Sunday. He would drive from Houston
Wow.
and come every Friday. And then he would take dialysis on Saturday,
Oh.
then work a little on Sunday. And then he just, I mean, he was wonderful.
Sounds like you come from a family of fighters.
Yeah, family fighters and just a huge support system with him.
That's so
when I
important.
accept it, that's my whole thing. It's like when I accept the support. So
I think that accepting support is
so
hard for a lot of us.
it's so hard.
There's
And
something about,
It's a lot of guilt behind it. And, you know, my parents did a lot for me. I can tell people all the time, I didn't have the best background. And I just went through like a really tough time where it's like I was entitled, I was selfish, and caused a lot of trouble for myself, caused a lot of trouble for my parents. So a lot of that, me accepting help from them now, and they helped me out so much when I was just young and dumb.
Yeah.
There's a lot of guilt behind that. But my dad just was like, he just saw like a future no matter how many times I got in trouble. I mean, most people know now, I put it on Instagram and stuff, like I went to jail and was always in trouble with the law and everything, and no matter how many times, like, it's different, a parent's love, you know?
Yeah,
and
it's
like, they just kept giving me
unconditional love.
chance after chance after chance, and it's just like, gosh. And so, yeah, he just would come down every single weekend.
That's so wonderful.
So.
It's wonderful that, it's also really wonderful that you say, I made a lot of mistakes and
Yeah.
I'm the one who, you take responsibility and ownership.
to.
I think that's when people get
that's
stuck, is when they keep blaming everything outside
Yeah.
of them. And we all get stuck in that. I get stuck in that.
Yeah.
You know, we blame everything else going on outside of us and we forget how much power and how much strength we really do have inside of us. And we admit our faults, that makes us strong too.
It does. It really does. I mean, it's very hard to, like you said, it's a hard thing to not put the blame on others. It's really hard to think that you're the one that's causing all the trouble for yourself.
Yeah.
I'm like, growing up, I would always get in trouble in threes. And I would be like, why is this happening to me? I'm always getting in trouble. I'm always doing this. And the whole time, it was just stuff that I would do. It was me. I could have stopped at any time. It wasn't other people getting me in trouble. I mean, it was my mindset. It was the things that I was doing. And that was just a true eye-opener, because I spent in jail. In my mind, it's like, okay, I'm in jail, spending time in jail for a year. And it's for something that didn't happen.
Yeah.
But it was for a reason. It was for all the stuff that I had done in the past. Like, you know, karma is real. Everything goes around. Life is full circle. No matter how many times you get out of stuff, no matter how many times things happen and you think you get away with it, you never get away with it. It always comes back around. So I think that was a true eye-opener. And at that time, the stuff that I did when I was 18, 19 years old or whatever, it was truly changing when I'm like 28 and a mother. And when I'm been sitting in front of a judge and I'm pregnant and I was like, I can't have my children in jail.
Yeah.
Like, give me a chance to go, you know, leave, have my sons, and then I'll come back. You know, I'll promise I'll come back. And I took ownership of it. I didn't let my parents pay for any attorney to get it out. Like this is what it's like, I needed to go to jail. I needed to really, like, I needed change. I needed something drastic to happen to be like, hey, you know, a change has to happen. I had my sons, took time, 3 months, and then I remember we all drove down to Houston. My sons went to stay with my parents. My brother drove down with me and my husband, and I literally had to go and, like, walk in, check myself in, and I knew that was going to be my home for the next year.
Oh my gosh.
So, and that was just truly the time, like, in there talking to the women, everybody was just like, why are you here? What are you here for?
Yeah.
You know, they're like, you don't belong here. What did you do? Da, 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 and stuff like that. And it's just like, yeah, you just never, that was just truly a time where that was like, when I got out, I knew a change had to happen.
So if you had to think of, like, your greatest lessons that you learned from that experience and from talking to the women who were in that situation, what are some of the things that have stuck with you from that experience that have helped you to grow into the person you are today?
No one is better than anyone. We're all the same.
Yep.
We all have different pasts. We all have different backgrounds. We all have different environments that we were raised in. But we are all the same. We're all equal. So I think that's, like, a huge thing with, like, my workshops, my tables. You know, I don't think any person is better than another, no matter what you have, where you come from, or who you know. And I think that's a huge thing that I learned in there. I mean, the women that were in there, they were didn't come from well-to-do families. They didn't have, you know, college educations or high school diplomas.
Wow.
But I had that. I had a good background. I came from a well-to-do family. Did homeschool, did private schools, had everything that, you know, on paper looked perfect. But I was still in there next to them. So I wasn't better than them. And I think that sometimes, even though we don't say that a lot as human beings, I think society has kind of built up that thing that there's different levels of people.
Definitely.
And
it's the ego, so that it's just like, the ego feels better.
Whether you make 6 figures or $6 an hour, you're still just a person. You still go to sleep, you still breathe the same, like, you're still just a human being. So.
And I think that when you say that, when you say we're all the same, that brings up both compassion and accountability.
Yeah.
Because if we're all the same, we have to feel for and with each other, and we also have to be accountable, no matter where we came from, to continue to treat other people with that kind of respect and not use excuses. That eliminates a lot of excuses. Ah, makes sense. Yes, your strength is coming through. I feel it.
Yeah.
So tell me more about moving on from that chapter of your life. You took accountability, you changed, you came out, you started to feel differently about things in your life.
I started looking at stuff a whole lot different. Stopped being so wasteful with my time, my mindset. I was always a worker. I mean, even when I was younger, I would work at grocery store, work at a daycare. I always worked 2 or 3 jobs. I always had a great work ethic. But it was a little different behind the work ethic this time around. I got out. I went to Nordstrom's. I told them about my situation. I really needed a job because while I was in jail, Carlos, he lost everything because it was just him working.
Yeah.
So we lost our home again. He kept the car, but we had to start back all the way over. So just like it was like 2009 all over again.
Wow,
but
yeah.
with kids this time around. My parents really were helpful. They kept the boys for a little bit for me to get on my feet. I went and worked as a stylist in the dress department at Nordstrom's, and I just humped. I just worked and just talked to people, connected with people, and I was just like, just really myself. I was just
Sounds like you
so
were
much
humbled
more
and ready to work.
Yeah, I was ready to work for, what I needed.
So Bree, thank you so much for joining us and for sharing your story. And
thank you for coming to New York. Like, wow.
It's been amazing.
Yeah.
All right, thanks, Bree. Thank you for joining us on this episode of BZENTV. For more information and inspiration, head to our website, b-zen.tv, and visit our social media, @BZENTV. Until next time, keep living and loving your life.